With that, we now invite Mr. Surin Suksuwan, Senior Technical Advisor of Proforest, who has more than 20 years of experience in natural resource management and biodiversity conservation, to kindly take the stage as the lead for this discussion. He'll be directing the entire conversation, which will be a panel of superstars. I'd like to invite Yang Berbahagia Datin Shahdee Dato Ahmad, Director, Business Ecosystem, OCE. And she'll be sharing with us on empowering communities and businesses to ensure vulnerable groups are cared for. She has over 30 years of experience in the relevant fields, having joined the NCIA in 2017 and leading Rakyat-centric human capital programs since 2019. We also have the much advertised Mr. James Ryan Raj, Director of HRS Unit, APPGM-SDG Secretariat. He'll be speaking to us on experiences at the local community level via the APPGM-SDG localizing initiatives. James holds a Master's in Human Capital Development from New Delhi and has served as Director of the APPGM-SDG Secretariat since 2020, with 32 years of experience as a community development activist. Also joining our panel from Majlis Belia Orang Asli Malaysia, we have Mr. Clive Allen Williams Hunt. And Mr. Williams Hunt is representing Majlis Belia Orang Asli Malaysia, advocating for the inclusivity of the Orang Asli communities within the scope of development. And finally, I have the privilege of inviting Ms. Anne Lasimbang, a PACOS, to kindly join us. She's the founder and executive director of PACOS Trust, Partners of Community Organizations, and has been dedicated to developing rural indigenous communities in Sabah since 1993. So what a panel we have, very much on the ground, and I would like to now invite Mr. Surin Suksuwan to take charge of the conversation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Terence. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to panel number 5. I'm very honored to be in the presence of such distinguished panelists. And as you can see, we have a good balance of panelists, gender balance, ethnically balance. Only thing I might comment is that maybe we might be missing the representative from the corporate sector, because when we talk about communities, I think business community is also part of the community as well. But it's okay. I think we have Datin Shahdee here. I'm sure you deal a lot with the corporate sector in your day-to-day, so we are well covered. Okay, so I will not go too much into the introductions, because our MC has done a terrific job of introducing them. And I've been also told by the organizers that we are kind of running behind time, so it's going to be a relatively speedy session. So I will then hand over one by one to our panelists to introduce a little bit of what they do. And I would like to kindly request that we try to stick to time. 5 minutes each. Keep it brief. If you do have PowerPoint slides, the organizers will put them up on the screen. But try not to dwell too long on each slide, because we do want to move on to the Q&A as well, which is what I think the participants are looking forward to. So please, may I have Anne first to talk a little bit about PACOS. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, thanks. Kopi Pasian. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this panel. Just a little bit about our organization. We are called PACOS, a Partners of Community Organizations, and we have been working with communities since the 1990s. And now we have covered mainly about 500 communities. We work in very remote part of Sabah, and then we support work also some in Sarawak as well as also in the peninsula. And we work across issues of education, rights, livelihood, and environment with a mission to improve the quality of indigenous communities. So looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, I think, now that we have this, and we have listened to localization just now, I think we are covering almost 17 goals in our work, the 17 SDG goals. And but today, I think I can already share a little bit about how we engage our community in terms of our partnership in order to localize this NGO and SDGs and create an impact and contribute to actually achieving, especially SDG 17 partnership. So when implementing projects on the ground, be it baseline study or a survey or projects like raising the quality of life of communities like poverty reduction and livelihood, or any development projects like community education, community mapping, access to clean water. Well, I must say the principles of FPIC, free, prior, informed consent, is very important. This in Malay is MABT, maklumat, awal, bebas, and telus. It has to be followed. And FPIC may sound a big word, yeah? And some of my friends in government or also working in communities once said to me that doing FPIC in a project implementation is not very practical because it takes a lot of time. But actually, FPIC is a cultural practice in our social life. It is something like seeking permission, and in our Kadazan Dusun indigenous culture, FPIC is done even at the spiritual level. Yeah, we call it mamason, and where we seek consent from the unseen inhabitants to open land for agriculture or building a structure like a house. So even when two people wants to get married, before the engagement, we have this process called menahuku, and I think in Malay we also have this merisik. So it's something that actually we do all the time. So the principles of FPIC is very crucial. Pre, prior, and informed consent is crucial when engaging with communities in the localization of SDG development goals. FPIC ensure that communities, particularly indigenous communities and those who are marginalized, have a meaningful say in what affects their life and the environment. So I feel that is the most important thing. It's not that difficult, but having free, that means they are voluntary, prior, so normally we say before the FPIC, we go and talk to the community, and we inform them, we give them that information. So I think it may sound a bit tedious, but that is the key to the success of our work. And from our experience, we also document this. We, in the community, when we do a project, especially poverty eradication, we always try to form a EJK Pelaksana. EJK Pelaksana, and where after we leave the project, they are still there. And I see many of them are active in APPGM now. So I'm very happy, they are very happy that they have the chance to participate in the pameran to show what they are doing. And one of the things when we do FPIC is this community who have already this experience, they can also be the contoh. I know we spoke about the challenges. I will also say the same thing, but we have to move on, keep on doing it, and I'm sure we can. So FPIC giving that informed consent will help in the work, especially in involving and localizing our communities. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for reminding us the importance of FPIC when it comes to engagement with the local community. I will now invite Clive to also share his perspective, please.
Assalamualaikum. First of all, shout out to Nur Hidayah, my backbone there. Okay, I'm an orang Asli, suku kaum Semai, Maiga. If I say Maiga, can you guys please respond by Bor? Maiga? Okay, Maiga means apa khabar, Bor mean baik. So this is my words from Tapah Perak. I'm from Tapah Perak, and I'm currently the president of Majlis Belia Orang Asli Malaysia, and we collaborate with all the agencies, the NGO, and also the corporates to provide projects for the Orang Aslis, remote and rural areas. In fact, I have been with in Lasimbang from since I was like 5, 6 years old. Okay. The importance of collaborating or localization is actually engaging with the communities. That is the most important thing. So I believe Anne already mentioned about it, about the FPIC. Through FPIC is actually a process of engaging with the community, because we need to understand first about the community, what their needs. Sometimes they are a little bit confused between needs and wants. So by filtering that, before we choose the correct or the proper project or programs that the community really needs, that is the most important steps. For example, like for the Orang Asli, we do have like 18 tribes or suku kaum, and each of them have different cultures, different language, and different needs. We cannot generalize them. This is what we have been doing for us until now. We don't really understand what is their needs, their cultures. For example, like I can give you one good example, Project Peternakan Lebah. Okay, Project Peternakan Lebah, it doesn't have like quite success impact in the Semai community, because in the Semai community, we do have one big word which is related in our cultures, which is terlai. Terlai means that we cannot, it's a taboo for us to ternak all this lebah, because they belong to the jungles. They are the soldiers. They are soldiers of the jungle. So we need to understand all of this before we create or we execute programs. So when we engage with the community, we really need to bring all these stakeholders, sit and discuss, do the FPIC, understand, and then we can create something out of it. Beautiful projects, beautiful programs, what we did in my community. So I think a brief description of what we are doing right now. So yeah, back to you.
Thank you, Clive, for also pointing out that it's important to be culturally sensitive as well when engaging with local communities and coming up with projects. I will now move on to James, and maybe, James, can you help us unpack what is APPGM-SDG? It's probably the longest acronym that we have for today.
So probably I need to do an exercise here so that all of you will be able to pronounce it well, because some say APG. So I think we are so used to that. So it's All Party Parliamentary Group on Sustainable Development Goal, which was formed in 2019, then to Nanif. And this is a group, it's a very unique group, and we have two of our wonderful YBs who are here, YB Munira and also YB Rara. They are our backbone. I would say that, and this is a very unique organization in the sense that it involves bipartisan. So we have from 2 blocks of YBs over here. The YBs of 2 blocks in the parliament, probably they might fight each other. They can't throw the chairs because it's all tied down. And I think over here, they are able to work together. So that is, the greatest success, I would say, that bringing parliamentarians together. And also we are able to bring civil society together. Now we are working with private sectors and different organizations to look into how we could actually empower ground communities. I think since 2019 till now, we have learned and we are continuously learning new approaches of addressing poverty on the ground and working with a different marginalized group, because our theme is leaving no one behind. So even we have traveled to the remote area in Sabah and Sarawak. Some of our people, our volunteers have taken the boat, and also they have taken various transportation to reach to the furthest communities. Sometimes I was informed that even government agencies were not able to get in, but our people were able to go in to look into their needs and to find solutions together. So I think it is a very unique approach again. It's because we are engaging ground communities to find solutions together. Sometimes we might think that, addressing poverty needs a lot of planning and then a lot of discussion, thinking within our four walls, thinking that what is good for them. But then we fail to realize sometimes without engaging them, like without even engaging the Orang Asli community, or even without engaging the disabled community or the poor community in your discussion, what actually works best for them. By us thinking what is good for them, we are actually not doing good for them. We are actually disempowering them. So what is important that we have learned through our models, through our findings on the ground, what works best for them is to work along with them, to empower them, and to find solutions together. So this is my brief introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very heartening to hear that the panelists are working together and also, trying to do something from the ground up. So, and then we move on to Datin Shahdee from the Northern Corridor Economic Region, or NCIA actually, the implementation agency, right? So being Orang Utara myself, I'm always happy to meet somebody who's doing something for the Northern region, please.
Thank you, Surin. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. I think Dato Sri Mustafa Muhammad gave a very significant opening for this session today. I think at NCIA, our approach is very holistic, and we're talking about partnerships. I think amongst all the SDGs, if my opinion, partnerships is the most important, because whether you want to achieve economic growth, social inclusion, or even trying to, manage a planet, we need to work together, because no one can do it alone. So at NCIA, in managing the 4 states, from Perlis, Kedah, Pulau Pinang, and Perak, we practice the triple helix approach. And I think most people, maybe if the technical team can put up my slides. The slides is not meant to be a PowerPoint show, but it's meant to be just to show the work that we have done over the last 5 years. I hope it runs in loops. So basically the triple helix approach, starting with government, right? It is impossible for us to localize SDGs up to communities without the government assistance. And we have 30 districts in NCR. We work very closely with even up to the DOs, up to the Kota Kampungs, because that's the only way we can reach out. We can address people who really need assistance and who need the interventions, particularly in addressing poverty, and also to find people who are willing and able to be empowered to improve their social standing. Of course, secondly would be the academia. The academia is where we go to in terms of technical expertise. We believe very much that to address poverty, future poor, is through education. So our education program, we bring in the universities to assist them. After SPM, we ensure that they get placement in universities, because that would set them on the right footing for them to improve their families by having proper jobs. And also in terms of the IPTAs and IPs, they are through the TVET upskilling programs. This is where we provide SKM, Sijil Kemahiran, and even our IPR intern project, where we focus on farmers, not just addressing food security, addressing poverty, but we provide them skills. So that at the end of the day, they have an option, whether they want to become usahawan tani, or whether they want to even work in this farming, in modern farming areas. And that's the academia. And the private sector, as you mentioned, Surin, yes, definitely they are important. Without them, we cannot achieve sustainable business model. And a lot of our programs in uplifting communities, the private sector plays an important role. They are the off-takers. They are the ones that provide the marketing channel for products that are produced by the communities. They are the ones who have the outreach and the marketing channels. They are able to bring products overseas. And, we talk about the 3 Ps, right? The triple bottom line. So I implore those private sectors who are in the audience today, don't just look at profits, but look at the other triple bottom line, which is the people and the planet. So that's an area which I think everyone can play a role. And without, if I mention the 3 triple helix, I want to not just forget also that when we talk about stakeholders who are involved in providing the intervention and providing the assistance to help the communities, I think it's also important to put focus on the people who are beneficiaries, the stakeholders who are receiving, the target groups. Because if they are not willing and able to participate in any program that you do, I think, it's impossible to achieve the successes. And like the example that we showed, we have a very humble experience. I know my co-panel here have a lot of experience working with the Orang Asli, but the success story in Latakinjang, I think, needs to be told. They are a group of a corporacy that we helped to form. Just in 2 years, they were able to actually be independent. They are managing the Taman Eco River Latakinjang, where we have a beautiful waterfall. We help them just generate facilities that can help them earn income. And now that whole park is managed entirely by the corporacy. And as Tok Pa mentioned just now, they have achieved many awards. They have achieved governance. Their financials are in order. They have, and unfortunate for them, they were affected by Kepala Air in the few months, and if not for their good financial management, they would not be able to sustain. And Alhamdulillah, they were just able to close the park for 2 months, but now they're up and running again. And for those of you who have not been, please go to support them. They are a living community. There is a living gallery of Orang Asli. We have also a gallery to appreciate their culture, which we also set up thanks to funds from the Kementerian Economy. And I think all in all, I think partnerships in trying to achieve the objectives that we have set for SDGs are very, very important. I think there's no point talking about this is SDG 1, SDG 2. Yes, we can tag it as we run programs, but I think importantly, let's just do it. When we do it, we achieve it, and then later we can do the reporting and say, yes, of all the things that we have done, this is where it has aligned to the 7 SDGs that we are targeting to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Datin, for sharing the good work that the NCIA has been doing. And, just for the benefit of our audience, if I'm not mistaken, Latakinjang is that big waterfall that you see when you're driving up north towards Ipoh. So I didn't know until now that there's a project there involving the Orang Asli. So that's very good to hear. Okay, so as I said, we're running out of time. So I'm going to kind of simplify our format today. Originally, we had questions for each panelist. So I'm going to ask 2 questions. One question it's a general one, so I'd like to get very quick inputs from each of you. And second question, any one of you can answer, so it's not in turn. Okay. So the first question is, we've heard about community engagement and how when we want to realize the SDGs here in Malaysia, we need to talk about localization. It's not something up in the air, it has to be, something that everyone can relate to. So how do you see Malaysia performing in that arena? Where are we at? Are we making good progress? Are we still far behind? Yeah, so just some quick responses from you. And we can start again from, well, maybe this time around we go from this way. So maybe Datin Shahdee.
I think the fact that we are all here in this SDG summit, I think it shows the commitment that we have. I think we have some way to go, and we don't have much time. But I think a lot of influential people who are making changes in their own circles, I think that's enough to make big impact. Yeah. So I think we're not bad. We're
not
almost
bad.
there.
Okay, right. James, your take on it.
I think I must congratulate the Ministry of Economy and has taken the effort, to promote SDGs and to localize SDGs and things like that. I think what is important here is that collaboration and partnership. I think that was rightly mentioned the panelists on partnership. And addressing poverty, as I want to reiterate again, that I think we need to have lots of discussions coming in together, a lot of research need to be done so that we can realize addressing poverty as per to the SDGs framework and so forth. Because again, it is not that what we think is good for them, but it's how we can engage the local communities. Engaging local communities meaning engaging ground civil society organizations to come together. I think collaboration and partnership is important. And measuring poverty in the sense that what works for them, it's not only should be income, but it's multi-dimensional approach. because what is, their living conditions, the environment, and the social security, and so forth. I think if we could have that understanding well, by engaging with one another, and also finding that the ground community is resilient. Now they are resilient, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, they have the intrinsic motivation, but how we could actually bring that out. So more of collaboration, discussion, working together, and APPGM-SDG is always open for collaboration. And we also invite private sectors to come in, to work what is best, and how they can channel their resources back to the community at the right framework using SDG. I think more of this kind of engagement, rather than just having lots of discussions, lots of research, policy, and so on, which is important, but how we can actually apply it, how it can be more practical, how we can actually impact the community into action and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So more can be done, essentially. Clive?
Yeah, I agree with James, where we quite lack in terms of how are we going to harness or harvest all this so-called, me and like we live with, we are from the indigenous peoples, so we do have this all traditional knowledge where the so-called survival skills, we have our traditional knowledge, we have our cultures, we have our taboos, we have all the pantang larang adat and so on. So how are we going to find the middle ground between this modern and traditional? That's why engagement between agencies, governments, with the community to understand, to better understand the needs of the community itself. First. Second, okay, time's up. Okay, second, we do need to not only bring all these agencies together with the community, but to ensure that the community really involved in whatever we are doing. That is the most important thing, because by bringing all these agencies, the government, to make a program and so on, that is our ideas. Although we discuss with them, we understand their needs, but that is our idea. But how are we going to find the method that's suitable for the community to really involve, not only for the younger generation, because I'm talking from the youth perspective, not only from the younger generations, the current generations, but how are we going to mix all this up, the older generation, current generation, for the future generations? That is something, that is our challenges, actually. Because the older generations, they have a lot of traditional knowledge, cultures, information about cultures. Sabar kak, sabar. Saya nampak, sabar. Okay, all these traditional knowledge, cultures and so on, that they need to pass down to the younger generations. So that is how we play our roles. Not only for the governments, not only for the NGOs, but the community itself. How are we going to find the suitable methods? And I do agree when he said about, it's not about making profits. It's also about making it practical, that suitable with the needs and the situations of the locals. That is the most important thing.
Thank you, Clive. And as I can see, you pretty much answered the first question there, although the question was more Sarawak-centric, but I think it's cross-cutting, isn't it? So, yeah, so we managed to kill two birds, one stone there. So, Anne.
I'm very much aware of the time. But one final say that I want to again stress here is the engagement using the prior informed consent. And if we want to localize the SDG, this is very important, because this is the way we can be respectful, it can be ethical, effective, and ultimately it will lead to more sustainable and equitable income. So we have that conversation with them, genuine conversation with the community, and also people, all the stakeholders. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Anne. So it seems like we've run out of time, so we probably can't deal with the other questions, but I think that the key message that I got from this session is that nothing replaces real and genuine engagement. We need to talk more with each other, understand each other's motivations and needs. And I do hope that this conversation continues after this. I think there's a lot of food for thought from this panel session, although a little bit rushed. So maybe we can engage with our panelists after this as well, over tea or whatever. And with that, I would like to thank all of you for your attention, and I will hand back over to Terence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Surin Suksuwan, for moderating that discussion. We'd like to invite panelists and moderator to kindly pose for a quick photograph to wrap up the session.